Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 5th round of the Polyphony Digital Trophy. So we are past the halfway point now in the championship, and it's the 5th round at Sardegna B. Sardegna, obviously the island just to the west of Italy. Interesting street circuit, this one. Kind of a hybrid between a street and a racetrack, but street circuit, I think, is the most amped name for it. And what an interesting one it is, to be fair. As the track map, well, I mean, you just look at the track map, it's very similar to that of Estoril, the former Formula 1 circuit, and the one that they host, I believe it's the 12 Hours of Portugal, I think. Don't get me wrong. On the Algarve, that one, but this one on the island of Sardegna. Championship is getting interesting now. Has been interesting all season, but it's never been closer than it is now. There goes Chubbs into a wall. It's never been closer than it is now. Jake Birkenhead leads the championship with 215 points, but only 3 points behind. His main rival is Will Sutters. Last week, we did see Dominic Kubinski fall out of the championship fight, having to miss 2 of the 3 races. He's currently in 5th behind Adam Hans by 1 point. But don't count out Jake Witchell, still on 186 points, but recent form has showed he might be able to get enough points per week to go for that championship still. So this is the 5th round, only a few more to go. And news for this week, we have one more quali ban, this time in the form of Joe Wheaton, that is, for driving interestingly last week, I think it's fair to say. But we'll go on board with Jake Witchell for the first flying lap of the week. See it interest it uphill, down into that cambered left-hander, and then you just want to keep it nice and off the curves, maybe touch him a little bit. This one you definitely want to touch through that right-left, kind of sweeping S's, and then it's braking at the start of that curve on the right-hand side. You want to keep the momentum going, try and stay off that curve. That curve does spit you out quite horribly. Then it's on the exit curb there, and then again straight back onto the braking. This is a really tricky corner, this one, because it's beautiful camber all the way until the exit, and then it goes off camber, up over the crest. Downhill now, you want to keep it out of the wall. And then it's braking hard on the blue stuff into another on camber, uphill right-hander. Again, really difficult acceleration with how slow the corner is. These corners coming up now, very technical. Again, cambered. It is a theme at this track. All the corners are quite cambered. It's a beautiful track, very nice flow to it. And then this one, you just want to lift slightly through the corner, keep the momentum going is important. And then the same with this one. It's not a full brake, definitely a braking zone involved, but not really an overtaking corner, that one. Looks like a strong lap from Witchell this time round. Just see the time. It's a 1:19.2, which is kind of the average lap times seen people do in practice. I know Stein van der Hart has been up there on the times once again. He also set a 19.2 in practice. There you go, Stein. Good form last week did Stein have, and he's back again this week. But Will Sutters in the the special livery by the looks of it tonight, in a very nice electric blue special livery, and only a tenth off of Jake Witchell. Chubbs, Che Easton, also P3 at the moment with a 1 minute 19.4. He is going up by 2/10, which at the moment is close to pole, but not quite enough to get provisional pole if that lap time were to come true. Stein Van der Hart as well in P4 with a 1 minute 19.7. Again, improving on his lap time. Conditions obviously improving more and more as the session goes on. And Dominic Kabinski with a gap of 0.01 behind Van der Hart. So close qualifying this already. Ruben Thorejo, again, just only 6/10 off in P6. And he's also improving. Everyone's improving at the moment. That first lap definitely didn't look representative of what is going to happen in the end of this session. Certainly didn't look it from Jake Witchell. I feel like lap times could get quicker than that 1 minute 19.2, but we'll see this time round. Is Witchell going to improve? Ooh, just off another 19.2. Chubbs also didn't look like improved, but big improvement from Dominic Kabinski, 1 minute 19.3. Luke Clark goes for pole with a 1 minute 19.1. Impressive lap from the McLaren, a car we didn't really see much of last week. Lots of struggles from that McLaren last week, but this week it looks to be in flying form. Someone we haven't seen much of so far this qualifying session is our current championship leader, Jake Birkenhead. He will need to get his stuff together. He's currently got his title rival behind him on track, who has got a penalty, but Jake wants to get a good qualifying session in. He didn't have the best week last week, had issues with his handbrake, which is why we saw him spin a couple of times. His handbrake was activating mid-corner, but Jake will be looking for a good position in this qualifying and some good races tonight, because he really desperately needs it to fend off Will Sutters. Will, obviously a very seasoned driver in GTRC, being the founder of GTRC. Will also never won a championship before, but neither is Jake Birkenhead. I think Jake Witchell is the only one out of the top three who has won a championship. He's also the furthest off. So this season we could be treated to seeing a brand new championship winner in a brand new championship. As Will serves that penalty. Jake Witchell goes quicker again, but Captain Chubbs takes pole position, or provisional pole, with a 1:19 dead. What a lap time. Over a second quicker than Jake Birkenhead we were just watching. What a lap from Chubbs. Very good stuff. I do see these times getting quicker, as Stein is also P4 with a 1:19.3. Did miss that one. I've just got to say, this uptick on form from Stein has been pretty impressive. He's not really set the world alight in the first few races. Last race he was properly up there, and this race he's also up there, so someone's been eating their Weetabix, I think it's fair to say. But still, the top three, I would say business as usual, but to have Chubbs, provisional pole, and Clark P2, impressive stuff from the two of them, I think it's fair to say. Hello Joe, there's Joe in the chat, obviously serving the quali van from driving very, very cleanly last week, I think it's fair to say. But Joe took the quali ban like a champ. He understood perfectly why he was getting that quali ban. So full understanding between all the drivers there, I think it's fair to say. Big one who's very close to the top four is Kabinski. But not quite there. The gap between himself and Stein Van der Hart is very small, and then the gap between himself and Will Sutters is also very small. Sutters was obviously not going to improve on that one. Someone who did improve though was Jake Birkenhead, but still only just enough for P8. The top 8 is split by less than 0.4 of a second. This is a very close qualifying we've got here. 0-0-1 once again between Ruben Thorejo and Jake Berg. This track is proving to be really good for the drivers, I think it's fair to say. Very good for the drivers, very close in this qualifying session, and I know from personal experience this track is superb for racing. Will Sutters is going purple on Captain Chubbs' time. They are in identical cars, so this is genuine pace from Will Sutters. He's going a 10th purple on that 19 dead. Could we see a lap in the 1 minute 18? It's certainly something I was expecting tonight. Just met the apex nicely there. Didn't slide too much through that one. Good job. There's Chubbs in the wall there. Oh, Will not going purple anymore, but it's still going to be an improvement. Just needs to get these final two corners right. Minor lift through this one. Pitches the car in nicely, and then it's all over the curb on the exit. There's a dab on the brakes. Onto the curb there. It's a really good lap from Sutters. Is it going to be enough for potentially top 3? Kabinski goes for that top 3 with 19.2. Sutters 19.3, still in the top 6, but that just really illustrates how close this qualifying session is. And I mean, I've said it enough about Stein van der Hart, but he is properly up there, and it's good to see from him. He's never really been up there as well as he is in any of the GTRC seasons before, so good stuff from him. Looks like that Supra is working well for a couple of the drivers now. But there you see Dominic Kabinski with the 1 minute 19.216. So less than a tenth behind Luke Clark, just over a tenth behind Captain Chubbs. So plenty of opportunity still to gain on those times. We saw that Will Sutters did go purple through the first sector, so you'd imagine that people will be able to gain. Well, they won't be able to gain by doing that. Dominic Kabinski obviously going off into the gravel. And we did touch on the Drivers' Championship. Let's look at the Constructors. And you're looking right now at the lead car of the Constructors. It is Team Honda with 410 points that are currently leading the Constructors. But Nissan are following closely behind with 389. Toyota as well, closely behind Nissan, 374. And McLaren with the unfortunate string of races, 315. Their car is very track dependent, but when it works, that car very much works, as we are seeing from Luke Clark today. Will Sutters, again, another improvement, but not enough to get into the top 5. Same with Stein van der Hart, not enough to get into the top 4. But times are getting quicker and quicker as the session goes on. We're going to have a tiny bit or less. Captain Chubbs, we're just going to cut away from Luke spinning there, but Captain Chubbs, wow, what a lap from Che Easton. 1 minute 18.9. The pace was definitely there, and Chubbs is the first one to unlock it. Incredible lap from him as he goes 2.5 tenths clear of his closest opponent. And really, I think he'll be absolutely elated with that one. We're just going to watch Jake Witchell, because I feel like if anyone's going to beat that lap, it's going to be him. But he's not really showing the pace to do that. So could this be a Chubbs pole position? Definitely be another uptick on form compared to last week. Obviously, Chubbs came very, very tantalisingly close, I think it's fair to say, to that race win last week. Just bottled it in the final lap, but he's looking for vengeance this time round. Jake Witchell, the first to finish qualifying. Everyone behind him will also finish qualifying. No improvement from him. Dominic Kabinski, oh, that's Jake Birkenhead going around in the background. Dominic Kabinski does not improve. Will Sutters, does he improve? No. Stein van der Hart, it's an improvement from him. It is an improvement. Stein van der Hart on the front row. Wow, what a lap from Stein. Almost into the 18s. It's 1 minute 19.06. Jeez, that Supra is working well tonight. Really working well for everyone, but our championship contender, Will Sutters, not really making the most of the pace that the others have found in that Supra, but impressive stuff from Stein van der Hart and Captain Chubbs. Two people that you're not really too used to seeing in those top 2 positions, I think it's fair to say. But with everyone, I think now, yep, everyone has completed their laps. So your top 3 tonight is Captain Chubbs, Che Easton, P2, Stein van der Hart, and then P3, Luke Clark. No one could have predicted this top 3, I think it's fair to say. All 3 people you just wouldn't really expect to see there, and what a qualifying session that was. Congratulations to the top 3. That was brilliant to watch. And then obviously the second row is finished out by Dominic Kabinski. Third row we have Jake Witchell and Will Sutters. I'm sure they will be coming up the grid as the race goes on. And then fourth row occupied by Ruben Thorejao and Jake Birkenhead. So not a great qualifying session for any of the 3 championship contenders. But what a qualifying session for Luke Clark, Stein van der Hart and Che Easton. That was really impressive stuff from the 3 of them. Hopefully they can carry over that form into the race, because we could have something quite spicy ahead of us if they do manage to carry that form over. Then obviously behind the top 8, Zsolt Langstadler in P9, Yannick Verpeten in P10, and Joe Whedon obviously missing out on that qualifying session. He does start in the final position. But no matter what happens, this is going to be a very interesting race. Pre-race predictions, if anyone's in the chat, want to give us our pre-race predictions. I'm going to say it outright immediately. I think that Luke Clark is going to lead into turn 1. It's a very long run down to turn 1. That McLaren has good acceleration. I think Luke's going to pull the bag out, or pull it out the bag and get P1 first. But If anyone's in chat and wants to tell me what they think is going to happen, then please do. Love to hear from you guys. Very interesting top three indeed. Just waiting for the race to start. I'm not sure what we're waiting for, but we're waiting for something. Yannick last again. Well, technically not last. You got a car behind you this time. You know, that's something. You got Joe Whedon behind you, but of course he missed qualifying, so maybe that doesn't count as much. P2 2 weeks in a row. I know, mate. Really good qualifying session from you, Stein. That was fucking impressive. Here we are with the race start. We're just about to get underway. So, of course, leave your predictions. Who's going to lead into turn one? As I've already said, I believe it will be Luke Clark this time around. P3 in a McLaren is a great place to start. Here we are with the starting grid. Pole position, Captain Chubbs. P2, Steinmatter Hart. Second row, Luke Clark and Dominic Kubinski. The engines rev. 5 red lights are about to go out. And there they go, and we are away. It looks like the two Supras get a really slow start. Steinmatter Hart, the better of the two. But this is what I was saying. Here comes Luke Clark down the inside. Impressive speed from that McLaren acceleration. And he's ahead even before the first corner. All going down now after that long run into the first corner. Luke Clark leads the race. Steinmatter Hart in P2. He holds that P2 after a better start than Captain Chubbs. Chubbs missing out on the start there, losing 3 positions. Jolt Langstadler also gaining big positions at that start. He's in P4 now. And Will Sutters gaining slightly into the top 5. She's going for the move around the outside of Jolt Langstadler. Langstadler's not going to make that easy. Sutters looks for that switcheroo, but there's Dominic Kubinski on the inside there. He can't make that one stick. Kubinski going for the move back on Sutters. Oh, just out the wall, but that's Langstadler who just hit the wall there. Ran wide out of that corner. You want to avoid doing that. Sutters now under pressure, heavy pressure from Dominic Kubinski. Jake Witchell in the background as well might be getting involved in this fight. Sutters looks to have pace though. He looks to be going forwards instead of looking in his rearview mirrors at Kubinski. But the big one from this, Chubbs is starting on the mediums. Didn't see this. Chubbs is doing the first race on mediums. So he might not even be in contention for this one. He's in the top 3 currently. He's going to push his Supra teammate. He is pushing his Supra teammate. Now he goes for that outside on Steinmatter Hart. Can't imagine he will make that stick though. The tyre disadvantage. Does almost get the switcheroo though. Good racecraft from Captain Chubbs, but just has to let that one go. I feel like his best option here is just to work with the tyres as best he can, but he's still fighting. Still thinks he can go for that move. But all this is doing is holding them up for Will Sutters and Dominic Kubinski to catch up. And for Luke Clark to get away. Obviously, Luke Clark, former teammate of Captain Chubbs, so conspiracy. Conspiracy going on there, but here you go. Chubbs is now under pressure from Will Sutters. And this is more what I was expecting to see, especially considering Easton is on those medium tyres. Clark has lost a little bit of his advantage, and Steinmatter Hart is catching. It's going to be an interesting run down the main straight. Who's going to get the best exit out the final corner? On board now with Steinmatter Hart, and he does get a very nice exit out the final corner. Tucking into the slipstream of Luke Clark. He does have to watch out for the car behind. Is Che Easton behind? Will he go for the move? He's just there. He goes for the inside. There's Che Easton. Dives down the inside. Can't make it quite stick though. No contact between these two. Good respect between the two of them. Stein just stays ahead. But Easton going for those moves because he has to. He's on those medium tyres. He has to make whatever move he can. See, Will Sutters picked up a penalty somewhere in the background, so that will drop him initially out of this fight, but I'm sure he will come back with the pace he's showed so far this race. Fastest lap of the race on lap 2. What we haven't seen much of, though, is Jake Witchell, also on the medium tyres, like Chase Easton. Jake Witchell biding his time, taking this race as it comes. Same with Jake Birkenhead. I thought he'd be on the medium tyres. Jake Birkenhead also not having the best first race of the night on those medium tyres, and the Honda NSX is, well, known to be good on those medium tyres. He does go for the move on Ruben Thorejao in the Golf McLaren. Slight touch of the gravel there from Birkenhead, and Ruben does get another chance back at him, but Ruben has to settle for the outside. Almost holds it around the outside, but just has to back out of that one. Thorejao doesn't have a tyre advantage. They're both on the mediums. We'll see Sutters just pushing Chubbs out of there and serves that penalty, almost holding up Kavinsky there. That was a close one. But Sutters, is he going to fall out of the slipstream? Not quite. He doesn't fall out of reach just enough. Still in that top 4 fight, still in that top 5 fight, should I say. He makes it top 5. Still just about there. He shouldn't have to worry about the car behind, because the car behind is on a tyre disadvantage. Chubbs has finally dropped back from Stein Van der Hart, and it is all Stein and Luke for this race now. Permitting that Kavinsky doesn't catch these two. This could be a 2-horse race now. Luke Clark with the fastest lap last lap, but Stein Van der Hart not a million miles off those tyres, and he is rapid this lap, closing Luke quickly. You see a move any corner now, best opportunity he gets. Kavinsky as well is going for that outside on Chubbs. Chubbs defending very well there, just parks the car in the right place. Kavinsky gets another chance on the outside, but Chubbs just doing everything he can to keep that position, doing a mighty fine job, might I add. But up ahead, we just saw Stein Van der Hart is all over the back of Luke Clark. Luke, I'm sure, is looking in his rear view mirrors thinking, where is Stein going to attack first? Stein going very wide through that corner. He's trying to maximise all of the circuit he can get going for that final corner, because this McLaren is rapid down that straight. And Stein might have slipstream, but McLaren is still pulling away. So Stein needs to try and make the overtake somewhere where the McLaren is at a disadvantage, because yes, the start-finish straight is usually the easiest place to overtake, but I'm sure he's not finding it easy this time around, especially racing against the McLaren. Luke Clark has picked up the pace a little bit through that first sector. In the background, Kavinsky goes wide. Now side by side with Sutters. Sutters goes through on that one. Kavinsky has to let him through, which will still P6. Birkenhead P7, Thorejao P8. Joe Whedon, we've just seen, is up into P9 now. He's just slowly making his way up the grid. Same with Langstadler. Not sure what happened to Langstadler. Same with Yannick Verpeten. Something happened for these two. Imagine some kind of mistake. Yeah, Langstadler struggling on those mediums by the looks of it. Up front gap is still 4 tenths between the two drivers. Van der Hart not really having that blistering pace that he had maybe 2 laps ago. Or should I say, Luke Clark has picked up the pace since then. And Luke Clark is absolutely flying. Van der Hart not quite got the minerals, as Jake Witcher would say. A 19.5. Luke Clark that lap, fastest lap again, a 19.29. Not far off his qualifying lap. Impressive stuff from the two drivers up front. Captain Chubbs now under heavy pressure from Will Sutters. Just keeping that position. Sutters can't quite find the gap yet, but the chance will come. But all this is doing is helping the front two have their own little 2-horse race for the lead. What this is not doing is it's not helping Will Sutters, because he needs to gain big points after a really disappointing few races recently. Not quite shining on in the past 2 rounds, I think it's fair to say. He did have some good races last week, but this is a big track for the Supra. He needs to make the most of everything he can. Right now, just not doing so. Stuck behind his Supra teammate, Captain Chubbs. See, the Drivers' Championship doesn't mean anything to any of these manufacturer teammates. Stein now just catching slightly to Luke Clark. Clark's made the gap again. They both have pretty equal tyres. Oh, Stein all over the grass there. That might be a corner cutting penalty for Van der Hart. But I think he's gotten away with it, which is good for the benefit of a close race lead, or fight for the race lead. But Clark has just broken that slipstream there. Stein needs to drive with a more level head if he wants this win, but if either two of these win, then this would be their first win of the season. So incredible stuff between anyone in the top three, really. If any of these three win, we are looking at first race win of the season. So once again, continuing the trend that everyone wins a first race win of the season this season. I think it's fair to say. I think every single round we've had a new race winner, and this doesn't look like to be changing this time round. What a season this has been, by the way, past the halfway point. If you are enjoying this season and have watched the previous rounds and would like to watch more rounds, obviously subscribe to the channel. We do this every Wednesday around this time, and it is superb racing every single week, especially from the likes of the top five currently. These are the usual suspects that you see up here, and they are always racing each other with respect. Jake Witchell, one of those, just caught up to the back of this fighting pack now. Obviously, Che Easton holding them up enough for his fellow medium runner to catch up. But Che Easton doing an absolutely wonderful job of that defending there, I think it's fair to say. Incredible stuff from the Capitan. Oh, I thought they caught up close. Luke might have made some kind of mistake now, because Stein has a chance on the inside. Not quite side by side, but there you go in the braking zone now. Stein has to brake later, and he does brake later. Luke lets him go through. Stein Van der Hart, your new race leader, just overtaken the McLaren of Luke Clark, but Luke Clark has a lot of pace. He will not be letting that one go easily. Stein has to create the gap if he wants a chance of this one. But your new race leader, the man on absolute fire at the moment, has been on fire for the past two rounds now. Stein Van der Hart leads the race once again, like he did last week. Luke Clark will be catching, I'm sure. Captain Chubb still holds out that top three. Dominic Kubinski gets himself a penalty in the background. Chubbs is doing an excellent job defending this position on the medium tyres as well. Incredible stuff from him. Will Sutter's just being patient, waiting for the right opportunity. He knows he doesn't have to do anything stupid. Kubinski will serve that penalty. Coming up out of the final corner, I believe, is where the penalty serving line is. And it's quite a brutal one, I think it's fair to say, with how long the straight is. There he goes, serving that penalty. He needs to get out of the way of Jake Witchell, which he does well, but still stays quite far ahead of Jake Birkenhead. He's had a very quiet race, I think it's fair to say. Very quiet race, and this is not what he needed for his championship. As of the moment, it looks like Will Sutters will come out of this particular race as championship leader. Close again now for the top two. Luke Clark caught up a lot on that straight, but Stein Van der Hart, again, as you expect from that Supra, just making the gap in those corners. Already 3/10 added onto that gap after the first corner. So Stein Van der Hart is flying at the moment, on absolute form. Just 5 laps to go, I think. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 5 laps to go, including this one. Race leader Stein Van der Hart in the number 333 Valvoline Supra. Good day for Toyota. 2 cars in the top 3, 3 cars in the top 5. And this is what Toyota needs to hopefully climb up the standings a bit more, because Honda is running away with it. And Nissan is the only one that can compete with them. But Nissan only got 1 driver this week, I'm fairly certain. Could be wrong. Yeah, Nissan, only 1 driver this week, so this is a big points loss for the Skyline team. Big opportunity for Supra to gain on them, and Van der Hart almost a second ahead of Luke Clark. This pace is stunning from Stein, something we've never seen out of him in this series before, I think it's fair to say. Never seen him control a race lead like he is, especially against a driver like Luke Clark. Seasoned race winner is Luke Clark, and Stein is doing this one on merit, so all credit to him. Luke again just catching a bit in that first sector, but this is where Stein really makes the gap, and you see that already 2/10 in 1 corner. That McLaren, especially when the tyres wear off, just doesn't look like it has what it takes to compete with that Supra. Chubb's doing his best effort he can to defend that P3, and also by proxy helping his Supra teammate go for that race win. Because really, if anyone's going to catch up and compete, it will be another Supra on softs. But Will Sutters does go for the overtake, looks at the inside, but doesn't quite make the move. Chubb's amazing braking there, really braking as late as he can, holding that position. Impressive stuff from the Capitan. And Jay Easton just keeping that P3, so doing wonder work for his Supra teammate in P1. Because, you know, if anyone's going to compete for that P1, would have been Will Sutters, but Will Sutters, I think, is too far back now to mount any kind of attack for the lead with how long is left in the race. Gap now between the top two, 1.3. Stein just scampering off ahead, and I am happy because, I mean, I'm slightly biased. Stein is one of my drivers, but I'm very happy to see him. He's never really been in this position before on actual genuine merit, on actual genuine pace, and what a job he is doing. Incredible work from him. Honestly, we haven't seen this form so far from him this season. He is really showing who he is, who we know him to be from for the race lead. Luke Clark catches some corners, Stein catches other corners. Anything can happen. Will Sutters did make the move on Chubbs. We did miss that while talking about the top two. So Will Sutters is now up into the top three, but 5 seconds off the race leader. You can't imagine he's going to mount any kind of serious attack for the lead now with 3 laps to go. 2 laps to go, should I say. Having to do his best he can on those medium tyres, because now he has to contend with the Honda of Dominic Kubinski. But this has been some amazing racing tonight. Some really great stuff. Not sure what happened to those cars who have dropped back. I'd imagine they just don't really have the pace to keep up with these guys, because these guys are absolutely rapid in this top 6, I think it's fair to say, top 7 maybe. They're absolutely going for it. This is great stuff. It's what you want to see. The grid's never been closer than it is now. And quite technical track as well, I think it's fair to say. I mean, last week the grid was close, but the track was not as technical as I think it is here. There's a lot of places you can mess up here. Got 10 people watching the stream. If you want to drop in, say hello, just drop a hello in the chat so I know who's watching. Chubbs going onto the gravel there, and Dominic Kubinski does get an opportunity at the move, but doesn't quite make it stick. Kubinski now with a good run on Chubbs. Kubinski going for that outside line. Easton holds the inside, and Easton holds the inside well. Good defending once again from Che Easton, as we've seen all night so far. Easton just having to... Well, Kubinski having to back out of that one. Easton keeping the position, but we are coming on to the final lap now. And what a lead Stein van der Haar has over Luke Clark. Standing ovation for the Dutchman for what looks like will be his first win of the season, and his first win on genuine merit without a reverse grid. He sets the new fastest lap, and I would just like to remind you guys, this is the first race. There's no reverse grid involved. Stein has done this on genuine form, and this is such an improvement from the driver he was even 3 rounds ago. I need to talk to him. I will talk to him after this race about what improvements he's been making, because that is flying form from the Dutchman, and it looks like nothing can stop him now. Clark obviously with a huge gap ahead of Sutters, but this is great stuff from Will Sutters for his championship ambitions. We're the top 3 and is going for the fastest lap now. I don't believe there's a point for fastest lap, but it will be a major statement for the Brit against his title rival Jake Birkenhead, who's currently P7. So great stuff from Will Sutters, and this will be massive gains in the standings. Chubbs also looks to be keeping that P4, but we will just go to the race leader after an absolutely stunning race, I think it's fair to say. A really shock qualifying from Stein van der Haar, qualifying P2 2 weeks in a row. Absolutely sends it this one. He's got nothing to lose, on absolute flying form, and he is delighted with that one as Stein van der Haar takes his first race win of the season, and what a win that was. Incredible stuff from him. Luke Clark with the P2, great stuff from him too. Will Sutters takes a super important P3. Che Easton holds out P4 on the mediums. What a drive that was. Incredible defending from him. Dominic Kubinski takes P5, and it's Jake Witchell who just bides his time in P6. All he needed to do really. Jake Birkenhead, disappointing one, but again also on the mediums. Jake Birkenhead with the P7, and then it's Ruben Thorejo P8. Joe Whedon does get himself nicely into the top 9 after a qualifying ban, so good work from him. Then it's Jolt Langstadler who finishes top 10, P10, and that will be pole position for the next race. So good stuff from Langstadler. So he sets himself up for the pole in the next race, and then it is Yannick Verpeten who finishes in P11. Goes Yannick, but What a race we were just treated to there. Fantastic driving between all of the top 6, I think it's fair to say. And what an incredible win from Steinbahn to Hart. I'm absolutely elated for him. I really am so happy for him. He deserved this one completely. So what a race win from the Dutchman. Yannick got killed by Suva in lap 1. That's probably why both of you were that far back then, wasn't it? But we are going to do mid-race interviews, inter-race interviews, whatever you want to call it. How exciting is that? And who else to interview but the man who just won his first win of the season. And what a win that was. I'm just going to send him an invite. Hopefully he gets the memo. But yeah, that was a very impressive win. And it only feels right to interview him, of all people, after that race. There he is.
Yo.
Stein, mate, what a race. Good win. That was really good.
Thank you.
So I was saying on the stream, you've taken a big uptick on form in the past 2 races. What have you done? What's different?
What have I done? Nothing. I mean, I started practicing like 2 hours ago. So.
Oh, so you've done a lot of practice
yeah,
then?
nah. I don't know. I just felt it today.
Mate, that was rapid. I mean, you were quick in qualifying, obviously. Happy about 2 P2s in a row, but once you took that race lead ahead of Clark, you just fucking disappeared up the road. That was really good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like the track was coming towards me. I mean, I think I knew the track better and better through the race, so that's why. I also got a fastest lap in the end.
You did get fastest lap, yeah, that was good. But you hoping to maybe get another good result tonight? Seems like you got a lot of pace here.
I mean, I hope so, but we'll see how it goes.
We'll see. Right, thank you. I'll let you go back to the race party and let you focus on this next race. But yeah, good win, mate. Good, well done.
Thanks.
There you go. That was Stein. Just a few quick words from him. His first race win of the season. His first race win. Well, it's not his first race win in GTRC, but that was his first full, normal, non-reversed grid race win. So, that was completely on merit. Qualified P2 and absolutely sent it for that race win. Let's not count out Luke Clark, though. Luke with an absolutely stunning race as well, but just looked like he dropped back after those tyres fell off on that McLaren. Sure, Luke will be looking for another good result some point for the rest of tonight. Someone else who would be looking for a good result is Jake Birkenhead. That wasn't quite it, that first race, I think it's fair to say. Not what he needed for his championship, as with the live standings, your new championship leader is Will Sutters. Don't know how many points ahead of Jake Birkenhead he is, but he is definitely ahead of Jake Birkenhead now, so interesting stuff for the championship. I think Adam just disconnected there. He's been having internet issues, which is why he didn't race in that first race. So, unlucky for him. I think we might not have him for this, which is a shame. I rate Adam. I really like him. Another driver that won his first win of the season very recently. But as we've seen, every round, a new driver wins a race, and it's great stuff. It's really great stuff. Wonderful to see. Can we see another new winner tonight, maybe? Luke Clark and Captain Charles with heaps of pace. Both of them not winning a race so far this season. Anything can happen. One thing is for certain, though, is Zolt Langstadler will be starting on pole after an impressive race. Well, after an impressive race from everyone else, not the race really Langstadler would have wanted. Apparently, he got himself tangled up with Yannick Verpeten early on, which is why him and Yannick are so far back. But good stuff from all of the top 6. I think it's fair to say those top 6 were absolutely flying. Not quite convincing from Jake Witchell, though, I think it's fair to say. Didn't see much from him. But, I mean, he's got 2 races on the mediums. I'm fairly certain he will have 1 race on the soft. Actually, I'm not sure if he won that. Did he win last week? Someone will have to update me on that. But he will have at least 1 race on the softs. That was not his race on the softs, so his chance will come. And Jake really desperately needs these points now. Will Sutters has gained a massive advantage in the championship after that race. So he really needs every point he can get, especially being so many points behind even P2. Because if things don't go his way in this round, I think this round is the one where we can say Witchell is out of contention. So he needs to have 2 good races tonight. So someone I think is definitely out of contention, unfortunately, is Dominic Kabinski. He did get good points in all fairness tonight, but the gap between himself and Sutters, he hasn't really shown consistently that he's been getting enough points each week to gain that. Here we go. We are getting ready for the first reverse grid of the night. It is the standing start reverse grid. 3 McLarens in the top 3. Langstadler leads out, and then it is Joe Whedon P2, Ruben Thorejo P3, and the former championship leader, now championship contender, Jake Birkenhead in P4. We have the 5 red lights. And away we go as they all get started quite well. Looks like it's a slow start from Jake Witchell down in P5, but the McLaren's absolutely flying, and look at that. How wide are these? 4 wide going into the first corner back here. Really should look at the race lead, but it was 4 wide momentarily. All keeping clean, no contact between them. Birkenhead has lost massively off of that start. It's really disappointing for him. He's already behind Will Sutters. He's just had a little incident with Sutters there. Don't think it was really Sutters' fault, that one, unfortunately. But Langstadler just leading out this race, as you'd expect him to do. He is on the soft tyre, so is Ruben Thorejo and Joe Whedon. Thorejo obviously has made the move for P2 at some point. Missed that. But Chubbs is already all over the back of Whedon. And once again, it is a story of the top 4. Not many of them are race winners. I think Ruben Thorejo is the only one in the top 4 who's won a race so far. So any of these, well, I say that. Chubbs has just had a moment out of that corner and is off into the gravel, so he's down to P10. So Chubbs, could say, is out of it. A mistake that early on with that many cars to have to climb back past. It's going to be difficult for him, but he's already making his first overtake. Not quite, actually, not quite. Tries to make his first overtake on Stein Van der Hart, but Van der Hart just keeps that position. Langstadler now under pressure from Thorejo. Thorejo just not quite close enough to make the move. Oh, Langstadler into the gravel. Thorejo McLaren, and Thorejo is making sure that it stays that way. But look in the background, who is looming? The guy who I said has not really shone so far tonight. He is on the medium tyres, bear in mind, but Jake Witchell is currently in P4 and looks like he's got some decent pace. Will Sutters is also on the medium tyres. So it'll all come down to driver pace between these two, whether they can catch the front 3 runners or on the soft tyre in the McLaren. That McLaren looks quick here. I think it's fair to say it looks very quick here. So I'm surprised these 3 did as bad as they did last race. McLaren is very strong at this track. Maybe they will show it this race with the tyre advantage they have as well. But at the moment, Witchell is catching the 3 of them. So I feel like these drivers need to do just a tiny bit more. Oh, Langstadler's had a big moment there. Langstadler loses the lead to Thorejo. So Ruben Thorejo is now your new race leader. 1 minute 21.3. Not really the kind of lap times you want to be looking for. And Langstadler and Whedon are both fighting. Whedon just has to back out of that one. Clean driving from Whedon. Whedon now has to look in his rearview mirrors at Witchell. Witchell, oh, he does go for the move there. Whedon tries to cover it late, but doesn't quite get it done. Witchell, what an overtake from him. Really late on the brakes there. Good stuff. Whedon obviously saw it just in time. He was thinking of going for the defensive move, but couldn't make it stick. Jay Birkenhead now is making his way back up the grid. He's first got to fight his championship rival in Will Sutters. Sutters is not going to make this easy, but Birkenhead goes for that inside really late, sends it down the inside. He's got the grip in the tyres. What an overtake that was. Last of the late breakers, Daniel Ricciardo style. I'm sure he'll be happy with that one. Sutters did get a minor look back, but Birkenhead does make that position up into P5 for the Brit. Whedon has, as we saw earlier, lost to Witchell. Witchell is now looking at the overtake on Langstadler. Langstadler obviously had his hopes and dreams crushed in the first round by Witchell. Remember the third race, first round, Langstadler had that alien lead after the race start, 10 seconds I believe it was, to his former teammate Simon de Hart, and Jake Witchell just didn't let that happen whatsoever. Witchell caught up 10 seconds after a really incredible race in that time round. I think it's fair to say Jake Witchell caught up more than 10 seconds. He was never 10 seconds behind in the first place, but yeah, impressive stuff from Witchell in that time round. So we know he has pace, especially compared to Langstadler in that car, but that car is quick around here. It's definitely quick around here. But who's that in the background making moves? Jake Birkenhead is now on the back of... Oh, Langstadler's gone off onto the gravel and he spun around. Birkenhead followed him. There's contact there. Langstadler just spinning round. Clipped a couple of the drivers on his way. Not what Langstadler wants to do. That's really unfortunate from him as he goes off onto the gravel. And has to settle for P10 again. But this has massively aided Sutters in his hopes to get up the grid. Whedon's also fallen back, so has Kabinski. Birkenhead as well has fallen back. That incident messed up everyone. Birkenhead, we also saw, went wide. But Thorejo is absolutely flying up front. Not setting the world alight with those lap times, but they are quicker than everyone else currently. It's all he needs to do. 1 minute 17, or 1 minute 19.7. And I have to take a drink because my voice is going after that first race. But here we are, your race leader, Ruben Thorejo, in the Golf McLaren. Jake Witchell will not be letting that last, though. Tyre disadvantage for Jake Witchell, though, so maybe he needs to be looking behind him instead of in front, because Will Sutters is on decent pace at the moment. Who's on better pace? Captain Chubbs behind Sutters on the soft tyres, and Che Easton is going for that overtake, as we've seen all night. Excellent on those brakes is Captain Chubbs, and what an overtake that was. Absolutely textbook. As Easton makes his way into the top three. Easton has unfinished business. I'm sure he will be eyeing that race win, absolutely gunning it. And this could be his chance. 3.5 off of the race leader. He has very good pace at this stage in the race. Only thing between him and the race leader is Jake Witchell, who is a fierce defender himself on the mediums. Che Easton goes that fastest lap. It looked like he was going quick, another 1 minute 19.7. But I think he needs to go a tiny bit faster than that to catch Thorejo. Thorejo has made some kind of mistake in that first sector because the gap went up, then back down again. But Chubbs, if he wants any chance of this, he needs to clear Witchell quickly and not go onto the grass like he did there. I don't think that's going to help him much. But we've seen Easton do this before, especially on the last lap. He has very nice brakes into this corner. Could he be going for a dive bomb here? Not close enough. It's probably the smart move not to go for the dive bomb there when you're that far back. But whenever I do these streams, I always like to focus on one driver who's not in the lead, who I think could be making his way up to the lead. And in this scenario, I believe it could be Che Easton. And if it is Che Easton, then we have a record for the most amount of individual winners per the season, I believe. If Easton wins, or if I change that, is Easton. If Easton wins, that is the most amount of unique winners we've ever had in a GTRC season, thanks to Steinman de Hart's win in the last race. It really just highlights what a season this has been. Close racing from everyone. Clean racing, especially tonight. Spectacular racing. And it's been different every single week. You can never predict who's going to be quickest, as Easton goes for the inside there. Maybe caught Witchell off guard a little bit, but what an overtake that was. Easton being absolutely ruthless fighting tonight, keeping it clean. All credit to him, keeping it very clean, but absolutely ruthless. As Easton now goes for the top two and is chasing down the race lead, and I'd like my dog to shut the fuck up. Jesus wept. I'm sorry if you can hear that on stream. He's very loud. I'm sure Chubbs is facing the same issue. He's also got a very barky dog. we all have very loud animals. Sutters keeps P4, Kabinski P5, and then Birkenhead is making his way back up the grid. I could see Birkenhead getting back into the top 5, but this is really not what he needs for his title hopes. Not whatsoever. Whedon, awful job on that front right tyre. What has Joe Whedon done there? We've seen a couple of the McLaren drivers struggling on that front right tyre, especially Thorejo is the one that jumps to mind, but if we just cut to Thorejo, he's doing better on his tyres than Whedon is at this stage of the race. Still not great though. Chubbs with the best tyres of the soft runners at the front, I think it's fair to say, because everyone else is on mediums. Can Chubbs make that move? We saw this in the last race when it was Supra versus McLaren. Yes, when the tyres go off, the Supra has a big advantage, but the Supra just cannot match the straight line speed of the McLaren. Even in slipstream, we saw Luke Clark last race pulling away from Stein van der Hart, but Stein still managed to do that one, and I'm sure Chubbs will be plenty capable enough to do this one once he's put in the position. But not much going on at the moment. Whedon just staying ahead of Van der Hart still. But, I mean, this is just what I was describing. The straight line pace of the McLaren is mental. Just saw a tap there from Van der Hart from Whedon. Van der Hart saying, get on with it. You know, Van der Hart looks like he's got more pace than Whedon, especially with that tyre advantage. I mean, that is impressive how bad that front right is. Van der Hart is also on mediums. So it really shouldn't be this close between the two. Clark and Langstadler side by side. Clark takes that position. Langstadler back down to P10. Not really the race he would be hoping for. And Clark is up to P9. Also not the race he'd be hoping for. It's really not set the world alight on those medium tyres. He had such good pace in that first race, but in this one, really not doing anything stunning. But this sets him up perfectly for the last race. Obviously, one of the quickest drivers we've seen all night tonight is Luke Clark, and he will be on the soft tyres for the last race, starting somewhere near the top 3 if this continues. Van der Hart just not managing to get ahead of Joe Whedon, but McLaren's tyres are going to get. It doesn't seem the Supra has the same kind of tyre-saving issues that the McLaren has, and Easton is catching quick enough, I feel, to go for the lead in the next couple laps. New fastest lap for Che Easton, the Capitan, with a 1:19.4, and he is absolutely flying. He wants this race win. He has unfinished business last week, obviously missing out on the race win on the final lap of the race this week. He is going to do everything he can to make sure that that doesn't happen. And if he does win this one tonight, we have a new record in GTRC for the most unique winners in a single season. And honestly, there's never been a season more deserving than this one, because this season has been one of the closest seasons of racing I've ever had the privilege of watching. And I'm lucky I get to share it with you lot. Streaming this, I get to share it with you lot. It's been quite special this season. But Easton doing everything he can to catch up onto the back of Thorejo. Just a little tap of the gravel there. Once he breaks into that 7.5 range, that is when Thorejo needs to worry. And there it is now. Slipstream range is acquired. Easton is close enough to get the benefits of the slipstream, just tuck in behind that gap in the air that McLaren ahead of him is creating. Don't know how the slipstream works. Basically, the lead car is cutting through the air, and the air is then unsettled behind him. There's a big gap in the air, and Easton can tuck into that, gain a big straight line advantage. But again, it's not enough to catch even the McLaren down the straight. That McLaren is absolutely rapid. And we know that that Supra gets a nice benefit from the slipstream because of how much downforce it has. But it's just not really working out for him anytime he tucks in behind on the straight. But look at this already all over the back of him into the corners. Thorejo has to go defensive, but his front right is not looking healthy enough to keep this position. Defensive again from the Spaniard from Galicia, as we found out recently. Spaniard goes for the inside once again. Thorejo has to do everything he can, but can he hold him off for enough laps? As he's already gone wide there, and Chubbs has gone round. Chubbs, oh, what a missed opportunity from Chubbs as he spins around, and once again, just having those issues with keeping the car in one piece. what a disappointment for Che Easton. It looked certain for him. He just had to be patient, wait for the right opportunity, but it just hasn't worked out for him this time round. It doesn't look like Chubbs will be getting this one. And Witchell, I don't think, quite has the pace to catch Thorejo. Could happen. With only 2 laps left, it's hard to say, but we could see a second McLaren win of the season, potentially. And that second win will be coming from the exact same driver that won the first one, Ruben Thorejo. Really gelling with that McLaren more than the other McLaren drivers, I think it's fair to say. Great work from him. Got a bit of luck there, I think it's fair to say, from Che Easton. But as we all know, and as I'm sure as Lando Norris has learned, there is talent involved in every race win, not just luck. Yes, I went there. But Thorejo losing time, definitely losing time, especially, well, it's all because of that front right. Obviously, he doesn't quite have the pace of multiple time champion Jake Witchell, multiple race winner Jake Witchell, but you'd imagine that he'd have a bit more of an advantage, but that front right is just not working for him, as it hasn't done all season. But I think Thorejo will be fine going on to this final lap with a gap that big. Ruben Thorejo looks like he will be winning his second race of the season. And, I mean, disappointment for Chubbs, but elation for Thorejo. Here comes Ruben now down to the first corner for the final time this race. And what an interesting race it has been, I think it's fair to say. Thorejo started up there because of the reverse grid. He was on the soft tyres. Remember, early on in the grid, it was the McLaren trio all on the soft tyres running for that top 3. Thorejo is the sole survivor of that trio. Even in the top 8, Whedon and Langstadler have fallen off a cliff, but the only one capable out of that McLaren trio to hold his own against a trio, or against a bunch of faster drivers, I think it's fair to say. Thorejo does well to keep that P1 and to stay at the front, representing McLaren, representing the trio. And what a race. Disappointment for Easton, but what a race it has been for Thorejo. Done everything right, except looking after that tyre. He's done everything right, done everything he needs to do. Nothing more, nothing less. Here comes Thorejo. Just a big enough gap to beat out Jake Witchell. And yes, Witchell was on the medium tyres, but beating Jake Witchell in any scenario, especially for a race lead, has got to be something. Here comes Thorejo for his second win of the season. I'm sure one that everyone's happy about. A fan favourite is Ruben Thorejo. Jake Witchell takes P2, and then it's Will Sutters gaining more points in the championship. Chubbs missing out on a big, big haul of points there. P4. Jake Birkenhead as well manages to take P5, not quite the race he would have wanted. Steinman Hart does gain points near the end. He's gained places near the end. We did see he was quite far back, but that's P6 for Van der Hart. Kabinski P7, not the race he would have wanted. Clark does get himself up to P8 ahead of his McLaren teammate, so he will be starting 3rd in the next race. And then P2 for the next race is Joe Whedon. Pole position once again for the reverse grid race is Gilles Langstadler for the rolling start reverse grid race. And Langstadler needs to find something, because this race did not convince me that he can win, I think it's fair to say, but he needs to find something in the final one. Yannick Verpeyten, again, not really showing much, but his chance will come. Everyone's chance comes, and his chance will come eventually. He just needs to stick in with it, put in the time, and he will get a good result. I think it's definite to say. But there is your race winner. Clean race bonus as well for Ruben Thorejo. What a race that was. Not as good as the first one, I think it's fair to say, but disappointment for Che Easton. Brilliant race for, what's his face? Ruben Thorejo. Yeah, Chubbs, that was not great. That was really not great. I don't know how you keep doing it every single week, Chubbs. I won't lie. It's not great. But I mean, I don't want to just interview the race winners, but shall we interview Ruben Thorejo? I feel like we haven't done a Ruben Thorejo interview yet. Let's interview him. Why not? It only feels right to interview the loudest man on earth for at least once. Question is he going to see the invite? There he is, the loudest man on earth in question. Ruben.
Pretty much.
What a win. I mean, you got very lucky there with Che Easton spinning, I think it's fair to say. But I did point out on stream, of all three of the McLarens, you were the only one that even came in the top 8.
Wow.
Yeah, okay, all the other two fell off a cliff. You managed to hold it up there. So there is some merit to that win. That was a very good one.
Thanks. It's not like the other one, because I don't think I'm going to top out something like the round 3 one. But hey, you never know.
Well, that is second win for your manufacturer, but I'm sure you're happy about that one. Second win for the manufacturer and your second win of the season. You think you can get any more?
We'll see. I think it depends on the track and actually that the stars align. For example, Witchell, despite being on freaking mediums, I was actually panicking, to be honest.
He was very quick, yeah.
My man can do a last to first, I swear.
You think he'll do a last to first in this race?
I think he can, to be honest.
He's on the softs for this race, so yeah, it is possible. I think the one to watch out, though, is your McLaren teammate. He's starting third, Luke Clark.
Yeah, Clark, I gotta say that his fastest lap on the... Maybe there was a slipstream involved, but he did a 1:19.2. That's nuts. My best lap is a 1:19.7. I was alone. Like, yeah. Jesus. What did they give to
he's
my
quick. He's very quick
I don't know what they
night.
gave to him, but Jesus.
So, yeah, I feel like Clark has a very nice chance here. He is on the softs, and he is starting in the top 3. So, you hoping for good stuff for Team McLaren tonight?
Of course. Of course. We got the mine win. Shame we didn't got the Chops one, to be honest. I was actually rooting for Clark in mine and Chops. Well, when Chops was behind me, I wasn't rooting for him, to be honest.
Yeah, of course not. Well, with that Stein win, though, we are only one win away from the record of most unique winners in a single season.
Like in the history of GTRC? Or
in the history of GTRC, full stop.
Wow.
Never had this many different winners before.
Wow, I came in the right time then.
Yes. So, I mean, who do you think is going to take that next win? There's definitely going to be a new race winner this season, I think it's fair to say. Who do you think it's going to be?
I'm actually with Clarky, because
you're with Clark.
Super sadly didn't have... Sadly, at least in this race, Super didn't have much pace, even though I actually tried to help him, but the issue was that Joe was actually going really quick. And
we did see, yeah.
Yeah, on the first laps he was going for it. The issue is that he has the same problem as me, actually even worse with the tires. Somehow someone sees worse than me with the tires.
I feel like the next unique race winner is going to be either Clark or it has to be Chubbs. Chubbs has had 2 chances.
Yeah.
Third time's the charm. I think it's fair to say third time's the charm. He'll get it.
Yeah, poor man.
Right, I'll leave you to go do the racing.
Yeah, I'll go. They just, I don't know how to join back to group though. Okay.
Well, good race. Well done, mate. Good win.
Yeah, thanks, man. Bye.
That was the loudest man on earth. He was actually quite quiet this time around. I've got to give it to him. I'm sure he wasn't quiet during that race, though. But he sounded quite happy with that win. Second win for Team McLaren, and his second win of the season. And yeah, he, as he said, he joined at the right time. This has been a very interesting season, very good for the racing each week and for all the different kinds of winners we've seen each week. So you do see the starting grid on the front. Oh, here we go. Starting grid is on the right. Langstadler starting on pole once again. And I don't think last race really convinced me enough that he can do it. But someone I am convinced can very much do it is the man starting P3, Luke Clark. And he has a very good opportunity this time round. Here we are. So Langstadler leads out his teammate Whedon, who leads out his teammate Clark. And then it's Kabinski, also on the soft tyres, might I add, in P4. So don't count out Kabinski. Kabinski will be going for his second win of the season. Then Van der Hart as well, P5. We are restarting. I'd imagine someone's been put in the wrong position. But we are restarting this race. And look at that, P1 for Yannick Verpeten. I'd said at the end of that race that it will come, and look at that, P1 for well, Yannick was P1. But yeah, that was we'll go again. But yeah, Van der Hart also starting P5. I said that a lot of the drivers up there are looking for their second win of the season. So is Van der Hart now, race winner. Jake's on the wrong tyres. What a cheat. Cheating bastard. Is he on the right tyres now? He is, yeah. Yeah, we've had some really nice race winners this season, some fan favourites, I think it's fair to say. We just had another fan favourite win with Langstad, well, with Thorejo just now. But again, Chubb's missing out. Third time's the charm. Next time he gets a chance, he will go for it. I'm sure he will. Well, he goes for it every time he gets a chance. I just feel like he goes for it a bit too hard. You know, too much. Here we are. So this is the correct race order. It was the correct race order last time round, but Jake Witchell is on the correct tyre now. Doesn't want to run too many races on mediums now, does he? Here we are. Langstadler leading out the pack in the rolling start. This one we only get a 3-2-1 and we go. And we are away as the green lights go out on the gantry. 3 McLarens all getting a very nice start. Kabinski in the background looks like he didn't get as good a launch off the rolling start as Van der Hart. Van der Hart already looking for that overtake around the outside. Very brave. And he does make that one stick. What an overtake from Van der Hart. Kabinski caught off guard a little bit there, sliding. But wow, what a move from Van der Hart there. We also missed a move from Clark on his McLaren teammate. A bit less impressive from around the outside, but wow. Brave overtake. A lot of confidence from him since he's won a race. Not cockiness. But Clark now, this is the guy I have my money on for this race. And already he is showing his pace. Van der Hart, though, is already ahead of Whedon. Van der Hart. Could we see a repeat of the first race? Clark versus Van der Hart. Kabinski is also trying to make his way up through that pack. Kabinski hasn't really shown much impressive pace tonight, but he is there and thereabout. Not in the title fight anymore, but it doesn't mean he's not going to be fighting for race wins. Clark is just closing that gap more and more between himself and Langstadler. I can't imagine Langstadler is going to make it too difficult for him. Go on board with Clark. He's just tucking into the slipstream. Now, slipstream does mean something because they are in equal cars, and he's going like a rocket ship. He opts for the outside, taking inspiration from Van der Hart in that turn one. Doesn't quite send it around the outside, but this is what he wanted. Langstadler's gone deep, and he's gone for the switcheroo. Clark is now the new race leader, but just about there, still side by side. Langstadler has to back out of that one, but guess who's coming through? It's Stein Van der Hart. Not quite. Langstadler is still side by side, having to take that outside line for all these corners, but now Langstadler goes for the inside. And, oh, Kabinski with a double overtake. What an overtake that was. Kabinski just catching the two of them off guard. Former teammates of Langstadler and Van der Hart just catching them off guard. Kabinski makes that move look easy. Van der Hart now also still in the top 3. So we have 3 soft tyre runners, 2 race winners versus the guy who's leading who has not won a race. And that record I was talking about, very possible it could be broken anytime soon. But Kabinski and Van der Hart will not care about these kind of records. All they care about is their own personal records. They want as many wins as they can get. Luke Clark, sure, doesn't really care that much to be completely honest, but I'm sure he will be happy with a race win nonetheless. Does well, goes to the right. Is he going to cut back to the inside? No, he opts for the outside. He knows that the cars behind can't quite catch in the slipstream. Someone who can quite catch it. Not quite. Van der Hart was thinking of the dive bomb there. Definitely looked at the inside just to let Kabinski know I'm here. But here comes Jake Witchell. Hadn't seen much from him so far. Jake Witchell's made his way up into the top 5. Also on the soft tyre. Witchell, as we know, has a lot of pace. And today's no exception, but Easton is right behind him, and Easton was our pole sitter in the first race. And make no mistake, Easton will also have similar levels of pace to Witchell, especially tonight. gap now out front is increasing slightly between Clark and Kabinski. Kabinski, oh, he's gone wide there. Kabinski's gone wide, but he still keeps the place. Kabinski needs to calm it down a bit. There's no need to push this hard. He will get his chance. But he's just losing from those dirty tyres now. Van der Hart is all over the back of him. They've both lost touch with the race leader. And maybe these two will be thinking about working together at some point soon, because look in the background, Jake Witchell, new fastest lap, and he is absolutely flying at the moment. They need to watch out for him. Van der Hart not really closing the gap between himself and Kabinski, but the gap is closing between himself and Witchell. Witchell plays the patient game as he does usually, but he's just going purple again. Somebody who isn't playing the patient game. Chubbs goes straight for that apex. Takes a very different line to Witchell there, and Chubbs says, yeah, there you go, that's the different line. Chubbs has just gone wide, so that's how good that different line is. Just say, by the way, that livery looks really nice tonight in certain lights from Will Sutter's. I do really like the chrome blue. Something different. I prefer the teal that he usually uses, but the blue looks nice. Witchell again, he is closing slightly, but not by as much as I thought he was. Van der Hart has now gained quite a lot on Kabinski, sliding out of the final corner though. He's just lost everything he's gained on Kabinski, and now Witchell has a chance at Van der Hart. Van der Hart goes for the inside. Witchell will have to settle for the outside. It's a drag race down into the first corner. Van der Hart covers the inside well, brakes late. Does he stay ahead? He does stay ahead for now, but Witchell has another chance. Round the outside, and then it turns into the inside of the next S. Side by side still, but Witchell just has to... Oh, no, Witchell doesn't take the position, but then again, braking heavy for this uphill left-hander. Witchell will take this one. Van der Hart has to back out of that. Great racing between these two. But this is Van der Hart transformed, I think it's fair to say. Witchell now has a bit clear air in front of him, and this is when we see Jake Witchell shine, when he's got some clear air in front of him, when he knows that there is a target for him to achieve. He absolutely flies. In his words, he treats every race like it's a practice session, and to be honest, it's the correct mindset. Anyone who is struggling with races, struggling with pressure, if you're up in a high position, all you got to do is just treat it like your practice session, set the fastest laps you possibly can, and you will do well. And that is not only advice from myself, but advice from multiple championship winner Jake Witchell. If you're going to listen to anyone, you should probably listen to him. Will Sutters in the background we just saw there had a bit of a moment, but he is still ahead of Che Easton. Will he be ahead for long? Che Easton is all over the back of him. Will Sutters, I'm sure, has damaged his tyres slightly by doing that. Easton does look at the outside, but doesn't quite get the car close enough alongside. But again, sliding out of the exit is Sutters. Really cooked up those tyres from doing something or other. Witchell now gaining on Kabinski, going purple once again. Purple on Chubbs' fastest lap, might I add. Easton having good pace at this stage in the race, but he's just, by the looks of it, stuck behind a struggling Will Sutters. Jake Witchell closing that gap to Kabinski, and then once, if he gets past Kabinski, it's going to be a two-horse race again. Because I can't imagine Witchell is going to stick around for long with the pace that he has at the moment. He is absolutely flying at this stage of the race. So is Kabinski. Kabinski has also picked up the pace at this stage. So has Van der Hart, in fact. But Witchell looks to be the fastest of the three. We'll see now who sets the fastest lap. I think Kabinski might actually have a pretty decent shot at fastest lap here. But ultimately, it is going to be Witchell, let's face it. Chubbs' fastest lap is beaten by Jake Witchell's 19.2. So there he goes, like a rocket. For context, that last lap for Luke Clark was a 19.9. So Luke Clark needs to pick the pace up if he wants this one. Can't rely on Kabinski keeping him behind, because Kabinski, I believe, has better pace at the moment. He does, yeah. Kabinski is slightly quicker than Clark at the moment, so he can't rely on Kabinski keeping Witchell behind, because Witchell is quicker than the both of them. And Kabinski is quicker than Clark. But Clark is doing his absolute best to keep that P1, keep the gap up, keep it high. Braking really nicely into that corner, using all of the blue Astro. Oh, it's off onto the gravel. Is there Kabinski in the background? Just dipped a tyre onto the gravel, and that is brilliant news for Witchell. He will be gaining a lot out of that. I say that, but it looks like Witchell made some kind of mistake through those double left-handers. All in the background. Stijn van der Hart is just waiting patiently. He knows all well that if any of these drivers make a mistake, he is in the prime opportunity for another podium. And I've said this enough times tonight, but he is a man on fire at the moment, is Stijn van der Hart. Getting lots of podiums this season, and even a race win tonight. One that I'm sure will be talked about for a while. Oh, Clark just dipping a tyre on the gravel there, and that does not look good for his race-winning hopes, as now Kabinski is caught several tenths after that mistake. Kabinski is now very much in this race-winning fight, and he has brought Jake Witchell along with him. Of all the people that Luke Clark could see behind him, Kabinski and Jake Witchell are two of the ones that he doesn't want to see behind him, but maybe he won't see Kabinski behind him for too long, as Kabinski has already made that overtake. Slight contact between the two, and now Witchell has got a chance through. Witchell has gone through, so through another mistake, Clark has lost 2 positions there. And this is what I mean, saying one mistake is all it takes, as here comes Stijn van der Hart, as I was hinting towards. Not quite. But Van der Hart is just off the cusp of a podium position, and there he goes for the inside. I thought he was going to make the move soon. Clark does a very nice effort to hold that outside line, and Van der Hart just has to pull out of that one. Good defending from Clark. Really holding his line well and being very firm and strong about it. But the top 2 is extremely close for this fight now. Kabinski is leading. It looks like he's being pushed down the straight by Witchell. Witchell might be thinking, okay, let's make a bit of a gap before we fight. And I'm sure Kabinski will be happy to have a gap before they fight, because they can go proper balls to the wall as long as they have more than a second really to fight. Clark will be doing everything he can to get back up to these top 2, but he didn't have the pace while he was leading. I'm not sure he'll have the pace now, especially as the McLaren's tyres are getting worse and worse. Really, if you want to win a race in McLaren, you need to start high up and get every lap perfect, because when those tyres go off, you are screwed. And again, he's on the gravel. This time, I feel like he might lose out to Van der Hart. Van der Hart wasn't much quicker than him out of that corner, but a penalty there. Penalty for Luke Clark, so that will be Van der Hart at the end of this lap, taking the podium position. Van der Hart will be elated with that one. Clark, not so much, and there you go. Clark doesn't make it difficult for Van der Hart anymore. He knows there's no point in fighting and losing more time than he already does from this penalty. Van der Hart up into the top 3. Not quite close enough to go for the race lead, though. It's all down to how much these two fight. But at the moment, Kabinski has made a bit of a gap to Witchell. Witchell is now wheeling all over the circuit for reasons unbeknownst to myself. See, it's not illegal because there's not a car following close behind, so he's not weaving in front of them, but you know. Just letting Kabinski know he's in the rearview mirrors and he can go for the overtake outside, inside, anywhere. But Kabinski is still ahead. There is the chance that these two are working together, but I think this might disprove that fact. Witchell looking for any gap he can get. Not quite fast enough to get alongside when he goes for one of those gaps. Kabinski just holding it ahead. And again, Kabinski leads through the set of corners, but here comes Van der Hart. All of this has let Van der Hart catch up massively, and it's anyone's game now for this top 3. Look how close they are all fighting for the race lead. We have 3 laps to go, and this is anybody's game for anyone in this top 3. And a mistake from these 3 could even see Luke Clark come back into the fight. So this is a thrilling end to the night, I think it's fair to say. All of these have won a race so far before this season. 2 of them only won 1 race, and the other one has won plenty of races and is looking at getting points to hopefully mount a championship charge. But if he wants to do that, he has to win. Jake Witchell. Just in the middle of this sandwich. 2 Team Spirit sponsored cars creating the bread of the sandwich, and Witchell in between. All 3 of the drivers driving for Team Spirit at one point, obviously, so they are all good friends, these 3. No bad blood between any of them. But Kabinski's got a poor exit there, and Witchell does go for the inside, as I thought he would. Kabinski leaves the gap, but great mid-corner speed from Dominic Kabinski as he holds that corner very nicely. In the pink NSX. I'd just like to say big shout out to Dominic Kabinski's Wi-Fi. Not lost connection yet. Don't want to jinx it, touch wood. You can hear me smacking my chair furiously. I don't want him disconnecting for his own benefit. I really, would like to see him finish a race. But Witchell still catching Kabinski. Kabinski just does enough to stay ahead. Ooh, not the best corner though, hopping over that curb. That will not be good for his time, and now Kabinski is just losing more and more to Witchell. Witchell is gapping more and more to Van der Hart in the background. Van der Hart doesn't have the pace to keep up with these 2. These 2 have really picked it up, but who has got the worst tyres? It is Kabinski. And tyres have played a big role so far in this race, I think it's fair to say. So far tonight, in all of the races, the tyres have played a big role. Both of these will be desperate to get that race win. All 3 of these, should I say. But the 2 front runners were championship contenders at one point, very much convincingly so. Jake Witchell now is kind of a stone's throw away from the championship. He's very much an outside shout. He believes he still has the chance for the championship, and I do see where he's coming from. But it's very unlikely. Dominic Kabinski is all but confirmed that he will probably not be winning this championship. Especially not by doing stuff like that. Big mistake from Kabinski. Witchell does push him again, but a penalty for Dominic Kabinski. No amount of pushing will help that. So this is for the effective race lead now. Stein Van der Hart goes round the outside of Jake Witchell. Jake Witchell gives him the space. Van der Hart, really nice move. He's done it already before on Kabinski, but not quite this time. Jake Witchell stays ahead. This is all for the race lead, but if they fight too much, Kabinski will still have a chance at that race win. Witchell on the outside again. Van der Hart goes for the inside, leaves the gap on the outside, and Witchell comes back at him for the inside line. But all this is doing is giving Kabinski more and more of a chance to hold that race lead even after the penalty. This is going to be right down to the finish line as these 2 are bumping doors as they come down the straight. Still side by side. Feels like it's been side by side for the entire lap now, as Witchell makes the overtake for P2. But to be honest, these 2 were fighting so hard because they felt like that the race win was on the cards. But now I don't think it is on the cards anymore. With the gap that they have let Dominic Kabinski get away with through that battling, this looks like Kabinski could still get this win, even with the penalty. Kabinski now rounds through the final 2 corners, and it's the last corner now. Kabinski has to serve that penalty. There he goes. Slowing down for the half-second penalty. It's going to be a Cars-style photo finish. But Kabinski looks like he's gotten this one, all because of the fighting of the other 2 cars. Witchell gets P2, Stein Van der Hart P3, and it's Luke Clark P4, Will Sutters P5, Che Easton P6, Ruben Thorejo goes for P7, P8, big improvement from previous form with Judd Langstadler, and then into the top 10 is Yannick Verpeyten. Good race from him. It sounds like he's had some really unfortunate luck this round. So good stuff from him. Jake Birkenhead as well, P10, not the race he would have wanted. And Joe Whedon, but what a race these top 3 had. Really went down to the wire. And in the end, it was Dominic Kabinski who comes out victorious. So we are going to invite these 3 for the interviews. Because why not? I'd like to hear their thoughts on the race, on what was a really incredible race indeed between the 3 of them. But there you are, your race winner for the 2nd time this season is Dominic Kabinski, leading what was a really close 3-way fight for the lead. So impressive stuff from him. We just invited the 3 podium finishers, and there is Steinman to Hart just joined. We'll wait for the other 2
Hello.
as well. But Stein, I mean, tonight in general was a good night for you. You've won a race, but
Yeah, it was crazy.
that was good. I mean, another podium. You can't be upset with the podium, but you and Jake battling that hard in that final lap, it very much looked like you two could have been fighting for the lead, but I think you two fought each other so hard that gave Kabinski the gap he needed to serve that penalty and come out on top.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened, actually.
I don't,
Yeah.
you know, I want to hype it up for the stream, but it certainly looks like you two were both hoping Kabinski would get that win, to be completely honest.
No, I mean, I wasn't. I wanted to win, you know. I already had the double mediums next week, so.
True,
But,
yeah.
yeah. Jake had other plans.
Yeah, Jake, well, it looked like the whole time Jake was pushing him along, so
Yeah.
that was the other
Jake
question.
didn't want to win.
That was the other question.
I have to give it to Dom, mate, the defence. Honestly, I tried a couple moves, mate.
Oh,
I just
really?
could not for the life of me
Yeah,
get
that's
past them.
bullshit.
Is this
No,
just
I
so you
couldn't.
don't get double mediums next week by any chance?
No, I couldn't get past them.
Oh, really? Because
Yeah.
I saw Kabinski go off into the gravel quite a few times, and you pushed him out of it.
Nah, that was just I was trying to set up a better move, but it didn't really happen.
Oh,
'cause
was it?
Stein's a rocket ship, mate. But
Yeah,
it
I
is
know
what
where
it
it
is
came
because it's the first round since the start that
You haven't won a race. It's
yeah,
a disgrace, mate.
bar the one that I missed, but it's all looking good.
Well, Dom,
It's all
that
looking
was
dandy.
second race win of the season.
Congratulations, Dom. That was amazing, mate. Honestly, mate, that pace is phenomenal, bro.
I think to be honest, if it wasn't for my tires, maybe I wouldn't have needed Jake.
Yeah, your tyres were awful, mate. I'm not even going to fucking sugarcoat it. They were not great. They were looking very
To be
Ruben
honest-
Thorejao-esque.
I'm gonna be honest. The only reason I won that race was because I let Stein by in the last one.
Yeah, the race before he let me
Yeah,
down
Stein
on
would have
last
started
lap.
ahead of him.
Yeah, then I would have had to win, you know? Yeah.
Hey, Stein, you could have slowed down too. That's what I'm gonna say.
Well, now Stein's got double mediums and only one race to show for it, so well done. You've broken his heart.
What if I ain't there next week?
You see, Will change the rules again and make him carry over to the next round.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as I left the party, it was actually confirmed that I still have to run double mediums next week
Because Will said so.
because Will said so. So unfortunately, it looks like I'm gonna have to use the wet tires. Yeah.
Big question though, Jake. Do you think the title fight's still on for you?
Nah.
That was one I was
Nah.
debating on stream. I'm not sure if it's still possible.
No. But I missed a round, so I shouldn't have been in the conversation anyway. So
True. Well, yeah, that it really says all it you need to know. You missed a round and you were still in the conversation. So
But if an opportunity arises, then I will be there. I will be there.
I think we should do a thing where like every person has to miss at least one round.
oh,
No.
dude, drop. I mean, to be fair, if we
Wait,
didn't drop points
put
this
it-
season, then you know.
You could.
Listen, I'm still quite happy with how I done today, to be honest, because the mediums weren't as slow. I think I was quicker on the mediums in pace comparison compared to the softs.
Yeah.
So
The
I
mediums
don't know
were
if it was just this track or something. They were rapid, and I was keeping up with some of the soft runners. Just
Does
so
anyone
it's not all
know
bad.
which is soft? Yeah.
You
Does
said
anyone?
that.
I'm not going to say. He called you a pussyo as well. I'm not. So, does anyone know what track comes after this one? Or anyone in the party, do they know what comes next?
Luke's gaping bumhole.
That's quite a horrible sight, isn't it?
Deep forest.
Deep forest. Well, that's a good one to have soft tyres for then, isn't it? Fucking hell.
Nah,
You not think?
I really wanted the win today, mate. Honestly, I just
Oh,
couldn't
did
do
you?
it.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Dom was just too incredibly fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, it was a good race. Mate, Stein is on fire today.
And I'm really, honestly,
on a full serious
shocked.
level.
Yeah.
Yeah, rapid. I don't think I managed to pull away from you at all during that, so...
Yeah, keep this
goated.
pace up next week, Stein.
I mean, I don't really have time to practice, so we'll see.
Well, if you're doing that without
ever.
practice,
no
then
one's
like...
no one's allowed
Yeah,
to,
yeah,
man.
that was without-
No
this
one's
was
allowed
It's
to.
the rules. You're not allowed to practice in this league. It's the rules.
Ah, okay.
Only on the day.
I think
Okay.
some people
Yeah,
should
that's
practice,
fine.
but you know, it's just my comment.
Mental.
Right, I feel like that's everything. Is there anything else any of you three want to say? Yeah,
No.
that's good. That's good. That's solid. But
There aren't too many reports for you.
But yeah, that race looked pretty incident-free. I know Yannick got himself into an incident with Langster, Stein, or Super, sorry. Super got himself into an incident with Yannick, I know that much. But other than that, it looked pretty incident-free. It was a good night of racing, I think it's fair to say.
No
Yeah,
way.
it was pretty good. I really enjoyed watching Chubbs do his Chubbs right in front of my eyes. That was
No
the
way,
best
At least
moment
this
of
time
the
I
night.
didn't call him a blithering idiot. Last week I said, Chubbs, you blithering idiot. This time I didn't.
I'm
Tom.
pretty sure he did want to jump off his nearest roof, so I don't know.
Someone needs to check up on him. I'm pretty sure he might have just jumped.
Yeah.
I can confirm that Daniel Sutters has said that Chubbs always cracks under the pressure.
Who's Daniel Sutter? What,
I think
Will's
that's his
dad? Will's
Yeah.
dad said Chubbs always cracks under
Can
the pressure.
confirm
Look at the screenshot.
Yeah,
Daniel's dad has called Chubbs a dog.
That is when you know you've hit rock bottom. Will's dad calls Chubbs the bottle.
Will's dad is also fit as fuck, so...
Christ. Well, Will's dad and Dom's mum should really, you know,
Yes, link up of this century.
exactly, bro.
Can we please stop talking about my mother?
Oh, that's mid.
Right, so thank you everyone for watching the stream. We did have quite a lot of concurrent viewers this time around, so that was quite cool. The race was brilliant, I think it's fair to say. But yeah, we'll see you all next week, same time next week on Wednesday for Deep Forest, where hopefully we will see that record beaten with the most unique winners. And the new Southern man tries to end himself by driving into a bus on a mist. Yeah, Chubbs can't even kill himself properly, bless him.
Bottled suicide attempt, that's not very nice. Guess you'll live to see another spin, mate. Hold it.
Well, look, I said on the stream, third time's the charm. You know, you might get it next time.
Yeah, boy.
Right, yeah. So thank you to you three. That was a brilliant race from you three at the very end there. It was fun to watch. And good luck next week.
Thank you, Jake.
Thank you.